Our War and Navy departments present December 7th. Early Sunday morning on the island of Oahu. On a hilltop, Uncle Sam lay fast asleep, warned of the fire that was licking across the oceans from without, warned of the dangers that were threatening from within, tired from wrangling with his conscience and fatigued after a long, dark night full of disturbing events, as indeed the year 1941 was. He slept in the early Sabbath calm. Safe and secure behind its military and naval ramparts, the city of Honolulu, like many another unsuspecting American community, was also asleep. At all the Army and Navy establishments on the island, after repeated warnings from the War and Navy departments, a number 1 alert had secretly been in effect for 11 days. This alert provided suitable defense against possible acts of sabotage and uprisings within the island itself, but made no provision against attack or invasion. At Hickam Field, the Army's bomber base, precautions were taken to safeguard the equipment against sabotage. Hence, on this Sunday morning, the planes were concentrated in hangars or lined up row by row on the open field. Immediately adjacent to Hickam Field is Pearl Harbor, the Navy's $100 million fist. Here, on this morning of a tragic day of reckoning, capital ships, heavy and light cruisers, lay at anchor. At anchor, too, lay several destroyers, tenders, minesweepers, and repair ships, 86 vessels in all. By 7 o'clock, the city began to stir. For the most part, the atmosphere was serene and quiet. At Hickam Field, ground crews were at work. On a dock in Pearl Harbor, a few bluejackets idled away a few minutes. At Kaneohe, a field mass was being held.
Shipmates, today is the third Sunday of Advent, the 7th of December, which means that Christmas is not far ahead. I don't have to remind you fellows that the old Lurleen is about to shove off, carrying Christmas gifts and letters to the home side. Why not buy them a few presents? You might get Mother a Pikaki lei, a little sister a hula skirt. I think they'd rather have something from little Johnny out here in Hawaii. This is the time when you're going to be missed. So, send them a present for Christmas. But that letter is so important, however. Don't put that off.
A few minutes past 7, an incident occurred at a temporary Army aircraft warning station. This station, as indeed the entire aircraft warning system, had officially closed at 7, but Private Joseph L. Lockhart, who had been receiving training here, was granted permission to remain at the station. While listening, he discovered something coming over the detector that alarmed him. He listened intently. Then, certain of his findings, he called the Central Information Center. An inexperienced lieutenant answered the phone.
Excuse me, sir. This is Private Lockhart. I believe a large flight of planes are approaching slightly east of north of Oahu at a distance of about 130 miles.
Must be your own. We're expecting some B-17s from the mainland.
Thank you, sir.
This incident, where it acted upon, would have given our forces brief but precious time for defense action, and may have considerably affected the events of this fateful day. Regrettably, Private Lockhart's warning went unheeded. It was 7:50 a.m. by the clock on the Aloha Tower when the drone of planes was faintly heard. Out of the misty Pacific skies, like tiny locusts, they swarmed in from the sea. From the south. From the southeast. And from the north. At this very moment, on a quiet Sunday afternoon in Washington, Japan's smooth-talking, grinning envoys, Nomura and Kurusu, were blandly delivering to Mr. Hull a lengthy protestation of Japan's peace intentions. Yes, at this very deceitful moment, about 200 of Japan's messengers of death swooped in over our Pacific paradise. On they came, wave after wave, boldly, fearlessly. They had little to fear. They knew that our task forces were at sea, and they knew their disposition. They knew that no long-distance airplane reconnaissance, no inshore airplane patrol was being maintained. They knew from detailed maps they carried with them the exact location of vital airfields, hangars, and other structures. Each was given a specific objective, and straight toward that objective he came. Over the Koolau Range. Past the Pali. Diamond Head. And over Waikiki Beach, the treachery of an empire was on the wing. Planned for months with brilliant cunning, favored by our lack of readiness, with the sky and sea all their own, at 7:55 a.m., hell broke loose. Man-made hell. Made in Japan.
Battle station. God bless you.
weakened by the bombardment, believed the Army and Navy were staging large-scale maneuvers. Scattered bombs, incendiaries, and machine gun fire had changed their minds. One gentleman, when interviewed by a reporter, was stubborn and refused to change his mind.
I don't think it is an attack by Japan.
But you must have seen the Japanese planes.
No, I did not.
What about the bombing and gunfire?
I thought the Army and Navy were having maneuvers.
Look, Mr. Kita, you know that I know that you know that this is an attack by Japan.
I have nothing to say.
And judging by the smoke pouring out of your chimney, there'll be nothing left to show.
I have nothing to say.
The second phase of the attack began. By 9:45, the attack was over. 1 hour and 50 minutes of perfidy. The last wave of the invaders was beaten off. Yes, beaten off by our men, who against overwhelming odds, heroically and magnificently gave notice to the world that we had only begun to fight. When they sneaked in, they were about 200 strong. Only about 150 when they departed. Behind them, they left about 50 of their planes. Most of them were scattered on the airfields in charred, twisted, and mangled wreckage. A few had crashed into the sea and were washed up on the shore. Some were shot out of the sky and plunged headlong into the harbor. Grim telltale evidence that the list of dead Japs might have been larger and the list of our casualties smaller had we been sufficiently on the alert. These two-man submarines, 3 of which were accounted for, were especially built to operate in shallow waters, such as are found in and around Pearl Harbor. This piece of underwater perfidy won't be forgotten. Yes, this, as indeed the whole diabolical plan of the attack, was conceived and aimed toward achieving one objective, and one objective only: to catch us off guard, smash our fleet, cripple our standing as a sea power, and put us out of business. In this it failed. But tragic and terrible was the scene of destruction. Heartbreaking, the sight of ships built to fight and die proudly, now left burning in shallow graves. Painful and lamentable the scenes at Hickam, Wheeler, Kaneohe, with barracks, hangars, and equipment a mass of battered debris. Always, said President Roosevelt, always will our whole nation remember the character of the onslaught against us. To read in amazement, in sorrow, in horror and disgust. Those also were President Roosevelt's words. Horror and disgust, amazement and sorrow. Sorrow, yes. Bitter, grievous, mortifying sorrow. For on this Sabbath day, 2,343 officers and enlisted men of our Army, Navy, and Marine Corps gave their young lives in the service of our country. Who were these young Americans? Let us pause for a few minutes at their hallowed graves and ask a few of them to make themselves known. Who are you, boys? Come on, speak up, some of you.
I am Robert R. Kelly, United States Army. I came from Findlay, Ohio. My parents are Mr. and Mrs. James E. Kelly. I am Alfred Aaron Rosenthal, United States Navy. I lived in Brooklyn, New York. My parents are Mr. and Mrs. Henry L. Rosenthal. I am Theodore Stephen Zabo, United States Marine Corps. My hometown is Castalia, Iowa. Those are my parents, Mr. and Mrs. Stephen Zabo. I am Moses Anderson Allen, United States Navy. I lived on a farm in Cove, North Carolina. My mother is Mrs. Abby Allen. I am James Webster Late, United States Navy. I'm from Huntington Park, California. My folks are Mr. and Mrs. William J. Late. I am Antonio S. Tafoya, United States Army. I live just outside of Albuquerque, New Mexico. My father and mother are Mr. and Mrs. Jesus A. Tafoya. I am Lieutenant William R. Schick, United States Army Medical Corps. My home was Chicago, Illinois. My parents are Mr. and Mrs. William H. Schick. My wife's name is Lois.
You have a baby now, Lieutenant. He was born 3 months after Pearl Harbor. He's named after you, Billy. And you may be pleased to know he was born on your birthday.
Oh, that's swell. Thanks.
But tell me one thing, Lieutenant. How does it happen that all of you sound and talk alike?
We are all alike. We are all Americans.
Long may our land be bright with freedom's holy light. Protect us by thy
Tokyo is calling Nagasaki. Kobe, Ataro. His Excellency Premier General Hideki Tojo will report to the nation. For many years, the democracy of the United States has threatened to enslave the life of our peace-loving nation. That threat has now effectively been disposed of. I have the honor to report that our bombers have struck an annihilating blow at United States sea power. Here are the facts.
Almost immediately, the crowing began. Let's listen to the facts.
The battleship Arizona sunk and lost.
Regrettably, that's correct, Mr. Tojo.
The aircraft carrier Enterprise capsized and lost.
Incorrect. That's the old target ship Utah.
The battleship Oklahoma capsized and lost.
Capsized, but not lost. Plans are underway for righting her.
The battleships California, Nevada, and West Virginia permanently damaged beyond repair.
Temporarily damaged. But just a minute, Mr. Tojo. Before you go any further with your facts, meet Captain H.N. Wallen of our Navy. He is the Bureau of Ships expert on salvage and repair. Together with hundreds of civilian technicians, machinists, welders, mechanics, engineers, many of whom were recruited from the mainland and working in complete harmony with Navy personnel, he began a 24-hour, around-the-clock job of salvage and repair that will stand forever as one of the great achievements in maritime history. Above and below the water's surface, this epic of masterful engineering went on. Captain Wallen has proved you a mighty tall storyteller, Mr. Tojo. He calls your facts by a rich Navy word, scuttlebutt. And from the very moment the attack was over, he set out to scuttle your kind of scuttlebutt. The 23-year-old California, known affectionately to our Blue Jackets as the Prune Barge, with her ugly wounds temporarily bound, was refloated and towed to dry dock. Similar attention was given to the 28-year-old Nevada and the 21-year-old West Virginia. Here in dry dock, in record-breaking time, they were overhauled and improved from stem to stern, from hull to peak. Now, dressed in their up-to-the-minute fighting garb and raring to go, these mighty warriors and their proud crews stand out to sea. Godspeed. But wait a minute. Who is this saucy little gal, Captain Wallen? By George, it looks like the... Yes, it is. The mine layer, Oglala. A 4,000-ton surprise package. Given up and reported as lost, this former Fall River Line passenger ship was righted and refloated. Taken to dry dock, this small, dauntless craft was refitted and repaired. Now, spankin' new, a symbol of the fighting spirit of our men who build and man our ships, this veteran of World War I again takes up her battle station. Godspeed, old girl. So you see, Mr. Tojo, how poorly your facts stand up. Sorry to have interrupted.
That which is left of the Pacific Fleet is now in disorderly flight, seeking shelter in the Panama Canal.
Before you were lying. Now you're fishing.
All shipping lanes between the United States mainland and Hawaii are blockaded.
And now you're wishing. No phantom ships these, Mr. Tojo, but a huge convoy from the mainland. 36 ships, quite a number for blockade runners. And they're loaded to the gunwales with reinforcements and supplies. And here's a tip, Mr. Tojo. More of these convoys are on the way. Yes, convoy after convoy. Men in ever-increasing numbers. Supplies in ever-increasing quantity. For thanks to Washington's far-sighted program, we did manage before December 7th, despite many internal difficulties and disagreements, to build up the strength of our armed forces and start our factories humming. So that today, behind a heavy curtain of military censorship, Hawaii stands the greatest military and naval fortress in the world. Yes, virtually overnight, the island scene changed. War had come to America's tropical suburb. The Axis brand of war. A stab in the back Sunday morning. The din of the last bomb had barely faded when Governor Poindexter proclaimed martial law for the civilian population. Windows were taped in order to reduce the dangers from flying glass. Vital installations were camouflaged and protected by sandbags and barbed wire. Barbed wire, mountains of it, strung along every foot of Oahu's colorful coasts, strung across its highways, around its schools and its public buildings. Everywhere the earth was tunneled to provide shelter from shrapnel and strafing. Public squares, parks, and playgrounds were uprooted. Sturdy concrete shelters were built and distributed throughout the city. An efficient air raid warning system was put into operation, and for the first time in history, American school children were brought face to face with the grim reality of war. Even tiny little tots, confused and bewildered, were taught to march into zigzag trenches. How difficult to convey to them the why or wherefore of this strange game. Still more difficult to explain the need for these monstrous-looking things. But the fathers and mothers of Hawaii did. For this war is a war of survival, a people's war. Even a little people's war. Yes, your bombs, Mr. Tojo, brought many changes, and in no small measure served to further complicate the already complex life of the Japanese in Hawaii. As though to permanently erase their relationship with the homeland, they wiped out or removed every vestige of the written Japanese word. Closed are the language schools. Empty and boarded up the Shinto temples. Gone the flag of the rising sun. This young American Japanese gave the best illustration that over Hawaii, the rising sun had begun to set. Thus, war came to Hawaii, USA. The Aloha Tower, once the symbol of welcome and hospitality, now stands clad in weird war paint. No longer do luxurious liners bring vacation-bent tourists to these once happy isles. The liners, too, have gone to war. No longer is Waikiki Beach the sun-kissed playground of the Pacific. Barbed wire has changed its face, too. Now, at twilight, the city streets are empty and deserted. Blackouts start each day promptly at dusk. Well, you may crow, Mr. Tojo. You've done a good job of stabbing in the back. You've darkened our cities. You've destroyed our property. You've spilled our blood. Our faith tells us that to all this treachery, there can be but one answer, a time-honored answer. For all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword.
Jackson Farris was at Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941. He was a warrant officer in the U.S. Navy and a gunner. Today, a pipeline worker, he lives with his family in Southern California.
I never thought the Japanese would attack us so far away from their home port. We were just a victim of circumstances. History was against us.
In 1941, Juzo Mori was a petty officer in the Imperial Japanese Navy and the pilot of a Nakajima torpedo bomber. Today, he operates his own small bar in Tokyo.
The attack at Pearl Harbor is mine. It belongs to me. It is my heritage, and no one can take it from me.
At Pearl Harbor, the lives of Juzo Mori and Jackson Farris came together for a brief moment. Two fighting men, one American, one Japanese, relived that moment in history. I'm Jim Bishop. In June 1941, the Japanese government has been working at the conquest of Asia for 7 years. They need oil badly, but oil is to be found to the south. The Japanese do not have the strength to fight two suspicious neighbors, Russia and the United States. On June 22nd, Germany attacks the Soviet Union, and that leaves but one enemy for Japan to face, America. Japan is faced with a problem. To move ahead will be to risk war with the United States. But suppose, just suppose, that the American fleet could be destroyed at anchor. In September 1941, at Kagoshima Bay in southern Kyushu, Japanese carrier pilots begin training for a very special mission. One of the pilots in training is Juzo Mori.
I have been on board the carrier Soryu for 2 months now. My experience of over 100 missions over China was never as hard as the training we are receiving now on this carrier. We fly as much as 12 hours a day. It has been exhausting work and dangerous. We have lost some pilots and planes. My torpedo squadron number 11 is Imperial Navy's best. Admiral Yamamoto said so months ago and sent us an official citation for our work.
Although opposed to war with the United States, Japanese naval boss Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto is ordered to prepare for it. The Japanese battle plan includes Thailand, the Malay Peninsula, the Philippines, Singapore, and oil-rich Java. But before any of it, the U.S. fleet must be crushed at Pearl Harbor. For over a year, the attack is planned. When the U.S. Pacific Fleet steamed out of San Diego in May 1940 for maneuvers in Hawaiian waters, it was to have been a round trip. But as tension mounts in the Pacific, Washington orders the fleet to remain a restraining influence on Japanese ambitions. Aboard the battleship USS California is 28-year-old warrant officer Jackson Farris. Formerly on the Mississippi, he's a gunner and a spare-time athlete.
I've been aboard the California about a year, Carter and Bremerton. It's Navy practice to transfer a man when he's promoted to warrant. We call the ship the Prune Barge. I like her. She's Vice Admiral Pye's flagship of the battle force, and we're proud of her. She's a good ship, really a good ship. Good at athletics, gunnery, and engineering. The California takes a back seat to no one.
Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, in September 1941, has been the home port for the bulk of American sea power for almost a year and a half. To protect the fleet, the U.S. Army maintains 2 ground divisions, a force believed powerful enough to block any landing attempt. Keenly aware of shortages, the American military moved personnel and weapons into the base. The Air Corps, operating principally out of Hickam and Wheeler Fields, moves planes in to strengthen the island defenses. Although still in short supply, planes of the Army's Dawn Patrol take a turn at flying reconnaissance. The United States has a war plan, codename Rainbow 5. It is a plan for reaction to a Japanese-initiated war. It would have the Pacific Fleet head for the Philippines, stopping along the way to capture Japanese bases in the Marshalls and Carolines. Not until the Philippines are reached is a decisive naval engagement anticipated.
I'm the warrant gunner for the ship. That means if one of the guns doesn't work, I have to fix it right now. Our gunnery officer is very strict on drills. We have a lot of drills, a lot of maneuvers. We talk about the possibility of war a lot. Most of the men are pretty sure it's coming.
During the first 2 weeks in November, even while the diplomats talk peace in Washington, the Pearl Harbor Strike Force begins to gather at a top-secret rendezvous point in the Kuriel Islands, Tan-Can Bay. By November 22nd, the 32 ships, including 6 high-speed carriers, have reached a rendezvous point off the desolate island of Etarofu. American listening posts accustomed to deciphering the chatter between Japanese warships report that a large segment of the Imperial fleet is silent. In advance of the force are 27 large submarines. Their job? To reconnoiter and report back advance intelligence. And, during the attack, to sink any ships attempting to escape. Off Pearl Harbor, 5 of these submarines will launch miniature 2-man subs designed to slip through harbor defenses on suicidal torpedo missions.
Aboard the flagship Akagi, we are told we are now a task force, and our objective is Pearl Harbor. Now, I see how much like Kagoshima Bay Pearl Harbor is.
On November 26th, the same day Secretary of State Hull presents the final U.S. note to the Japanese demanding that they get out of China, the strike force leaves Tan-Can Bay, outward bound for Pearl Harbor.
There will be no more sake until we get back to Japan, if we do get back. The weather is very bad. The seas are high and rough. Soryu pitches so much that I feel sorry for the men on the destroyers. Some men are swept overboard when our ship refueled from the tankers.
We were just supposed to be out here on a temporary basis, but it's dragged on and on. We maneuvered down to Johnson Island and out towards Midway and around, making a regular circle. It just goes on and on. Some of the admirals have gone to Washington to ask how long we'll be here, but they get the same answer. To wait.
December 2nd, The Hawaii-bound strike force receives an important message from Admiral Yamamoto. He signals, "Climb Mount Niitaka," the code for proceed with attack. The ships move to Condition 2, the second degree of readiness for action.
After the attack at Pearl Harbor, we must make it back to our ship one by one, alone. I am confident of my ability to navigate over the ocean.
By December 4th, 900 miles north of Midway, the task force heads southeast to the launch point. Now in the Hawaiian time zone, the attack is scheduled for dawn, Sunday, December 7th.
For a whole week, we've been out maneuvering and on firing practice. Last night, an unidentified sub was reported, but nothing else happened. Now it's Friday. Most of the men are looking forward to liberty on shore tomorrow. A lot of the men don't like it here. There's just not enough facilities here to handle all of us. Too many men for liberty, so most of the men just get daytime liberty. The weather here is what California advertises, but the men are still homesick. The married men are pretty lonesome for their families back on the mainland. And for us single guys, there's not too much to do.
The strike force is under orders to sink on sight any American, British, or Dutch ship and to board any neutral to prevent radio transmission. Heavy weather and a devious course pay off. The fleet escapes detection. Early the morning of December 7th, the Pearl Harbor strike force reaches its launch point, 275 miles north of Pearl Harbor.
I say a prayer and hope that my mother and 4 brothers will be proud of me this day. A special message comes to us from Admiral Yamamoto. The rise or fall of our empire depends on the outcome of this battle. Each man will complete his duties until his flesh is crushed and his bones become powder. The message makes me feel very strong in my heart. I sit in my plane ready to go. I am happy now and anxious to attack. I have trained very hard for this moment. Everywhere men are cheering us and waving their caps. I am more determined to strike hard at Pearl Harbor and return to my ship a hero.
By 6 a.m., the first wave is off the deck. Pearl Harbor is 2 hours away.
We lost sleep last night, worrying about the report that there are no enemy aircraft carriers at Pearl Harbor. If I cannot get the carrier, I intend to get the battleship. My torpedo will not be wasted. Our plan of attack has been reviewed many times. If we achieve surprise, the torpedo bombers will go in first. I become afraid. Do the Americans know we are coming? Are they waiting for us and preparing to shoot us all down?
7:55, Sunday morning, December 7th, 1941. A message goes out to the world. Air raid Pearl Harbor. This is no drill. Dive bombers swoop in to strafe and bomb the neatly parked planes at Hickam and Wheeler Fields, at the Navy's Kaneohe Field and the Marines' Eva Field.
I see Pearl Harbor. It is spread out like a picture. I see explosions against the battleships, but one battleship is receiving no attention. I will get that one. It won't be easy. No guns are firing in my direction. I feel the plane lighten as torpedo falls away.
All the battleships in the harbor, except the California exposed and alone, are tied up in pairs.
I'm knocked unconscious, and when I come to, I hear the announcement of a torpedo hit at port side frame 50. I know it's the Japanese. I don't know how I know, but I just do. Just like a sitting duck. We can't maneuver. They're coming in from all directions. I don't see how we missed some of them. They seem to have a charmed life. The chief calls down, send up more ammunition. Start the 5-inch ammo up by hand. I want to move faster. My mind is clear. I act more like a mechanical man because I've been trained for these emergencies. I hear cheering up above because we're fighting back now. We were struck by surprise, and now we're making an account for ourselves. I think that some of the older men like me have inspired the younger men. Just blew up. Next to my own ship, I have more shipmates aboard the Arizona than any other ship in the fleet.
Battleship Row is a tangled mass of flaming, exploding wreckage. The bombs and torpedoes of nearly 400 planes litter the harbor with burning, sinking hulks.
We are successful. Our attack is a complete success. I'm very happy. I have just hit the great battleship with my torpedo. She must have a huge hole in her side now, and is probably thinking. For a moment, I think of the men on that ship, and I am sorry for them. But then I think of the welcome on Soryu when I report I have hit the battleship. My landing gear is damaged. I am told to make a water landing. We are at war now. I wonder how long it will go on and how often I will fight against the Americans before it is over.
I'm being carried from the ship. I don't want to be moved. I think my back is broken and I see someone worse fixed than me. I don't want to go to the hospital. This is still a safer place than the hospital right now.
By 10 a.m., it's all over. 18 ships, including all 8 battleships, are sunk or badly damaged. West Virginia, hit by 6 torpedoes, sinks in the mud. Arizona, ripped by one of her own exploding magazines, takes 1,000 burning men to the bottom. Oklahoma, torpedoed 3 times, capsizes in 20 minutes. California, hit by 2 torpedoes and with 1 magazine exploded by a bomb, sinks in the mud. Maryland, shielded by the Oklahoma, survives with damage. Tennessee, bombed and showered by flaming debris from Arizona, will burn all day and all through the night. More than 2,400 Americans are dead, more than 1,100 wounded. Nearly 200 planes destroyed, 159 others damaged. Cost to the Japanese, 29 planes and 5 midget submarines. A total of 64 lives lost. Of the 40 explosions which hit the city of Honolulu, only 1 is caused by the Japanese. All the rest are the result of confused and misdirected anti-aircraft fire. In less than 2 hours, American naval power in the Pacific has been paralyzed, and the road to conquest for Japan lies open. Petty Officer Juzo Mori will later fly missions at Wake Island and Midway. Shot down at Guadalcanal, he loses his right hand, ends the war as a flying instructor. Warrant Officer Jackson Farris, reported missing in action at Pearl Harbor, will later fight at Saipan and Lingayen Gulf, and through to the surrender at Tokyo Bay. For his bravery at Pearl Harbor, he becomes the first man recommended for the Congressional Medal of Honor in World War II. The greatest disaster in American naval history is over. The flames of Pearl Harbor destroyed a fleet, but as Edward Gray said when he likened America to a gigantic boiler, once the fire is lighted under it, there is no limit to the power it can generate. The fire had been lit.